and welcome to Sara Sessions, sessions that have conversations that heal my soul as the center of what we offer to you. Today, I'm talking to certified leadership coach, keynote speaker, and facilitator, Concordia TED Talks speaker, as well as author of Happy People Work Harder, Garen Jemian. How do we say that? I'm sorry.
That's fine. It's Jemian.
Jemian. Okay. Yep. And I've been interested in having this conversation because we've had quite a few conversations in the past that were very healing, very deep, and very interesting. And I thought maybe it'd be nice for our viewers, our guests, to listen in and see what they can pick up on this, because I find you very inspiring and I find you very enriching in my life, and perhaps other people can find that as well. What would you say has brought you to, well, first of all, let's start with this. What would you consider success and happiness to be? What is that definition for you? Let's start big.
Success or happiness? Pick one.
Success. How about that?
I think for many, success would be to feel happy. And then you have to dig into that. So it's almost kind of one and the same. Well, what is to be successful? I guess it's to be happy and to not need anything. And to have all our needs taken care of. For me, I think success is might be synonymous with purpose or maximizing our potential. Mm-hmm. And so what's the best version of me, and how can I be using my full potential to add value to society? And you feel that sometimes you're not fully aligned with what you're doing. So you feel like you're delivering value, but it's maybe at 60% or 80%. And when all the little combinations are just set to the right numbers, life unlocks and you're living your full potential. You're doing exactly what you're meant to be doing by leveraging what you're great at, what drives you, what you care about, and while supporting your values. So success is all of that. And if you can do that, at least professionally and with a sense of meaning, you would achieve that portion of happiness.
So in other words, something that becomes your vocation, that becomes your passion, your driving force, brings upon the success you are looking for to fulfill that desire of feeling purposeful. Mm-hmm. Right.
Mm-hmm. And again, success is simply defined as the achievement of an objective. And so when I heard success, I'm thinking success should be along the lines of professional success, but then there's life success, there's relationship success, there's health success, there's spirituality success, right. There's excitement success, there's sexual success, there's legacy success, there's blah, blah, blah. So success is so big. It just means reaching your goal.
So I know that you wrote a book called Happy People Work Harder. And part of that book, you actually talk about that. Can you tell us a little more about that? Because it seems I hear similarities to what I remember reading in that book, which was fantastic, and strongly advise it to anybody that is looking to increase their work, relationships, and quality of life and happiness. But what is that book all about? How did that come about?
That book was kind of like the Coles notes for my leadership clients, who would keep asking me, "Hey man, do you have notes from this session?" And I was like, "Can't you just take your own notes?" So and if you read the book, you'll notice there's no fluff. It's extremely short. It's straight to the point. It's almost like bullet points. Kind of like if you had to take notes in class of what the teacher was talking about, that's what the book is. And it covers basics of, it focuses on motivation, because most leaders are asking that question. How do I motivate my team? How do I motivate myself? And what's this all about? And so it carries the reader through what is motivation, the history of motivation in the workplace, what drives people, and how do we define fulfillment, contentment, or happiness in life. So it delves into something we call the life wheel. It's just a simple way of breaking down your life into categories and then kind of gauging how fulfilled you are with each of those. And so that section, I think, is what you're referring to, as in how do we use almost a scientific approach or a methodical approach to defining happiness. And so you break down your life into the categories that matter. You gauge how you are on each one, and you get to know what's working, what's not. Where's the pain points? Where's the happy points? What's driving you? And the rest of the book basically connects that to leadership, to coaching style of leadership, and beyond. So that's in a nutshell what the book's about.
And I'm going to add that I read the book, and it's not only for organizations, and it shouldn't just be a resource for team building skills and motivation, but it should be a resource for everybody out there, because I found it so straight to the point, so clear of fluff, and so rich in insight and eureka moments when I was reading it, that I think any individual out there that's actually trying to add a little something to their own life can definitely benefit from reading. So would you say you are happy? Let's start with that. Because we talked about success and happiness, right? And so you said success is, and what about happiness for you? Is it?
Let me start by compiling a list of words that are extremely misleading, undefined,
Yes,
overused,
please,
and downright get on my fucking nerves. Excuse my language.
Please. Absolutely.
Love, passion, happy, success. All of those Hollywoodized themes only make it more difficult to achieve these things. And so success, when you think of success, you're thinking of money, you're thinking of fame, fortune. If you're a guy, you're thinking of women and boats and cars. If you're a woman, you might be thinking of other luxuries. The point is that success leads our minds to go in a certain direction, and all success freaking means is achieving what you want in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
Happiness. Are you happy? Ask anyone that question and everyone's gonna be like, I guess so. What are you referring to? So success is relative to what the objective is, and happiness has to be relative to what the objective is. Mm-hmm. Happiness being a state of fulfillment with a current situation. Do I feel happy right now? I feel great. Why? Because the sun is a big piece of my happiness. And so if the sun's up, there's already, I'm at 50% happy. I'm healthy, I'm at 80% happy. Communicating and talking about rich topics like this, I'm at 90% happy. Yeah. Got a warm cup of Java, I'm like at 95. What's missing now? I don't know. Maybe less gray hair.
And even then.
So happy sucks. Happy sucks because it's the carrot on the stick.
So what would you recommend people to exchange these words and this mindset of, oh, you have to do this to be successful, or you have to find your vocation and, be purposeful or be of service or have something that passions you for your work, or, these things, exactly, these Hollywood terms that we hear a lot. Everybody talking
I'll
about
take
it.
Almost everything you said and put it together except one piece. Mm-hmm. Aim to maximize your potential. Aim to be the most authentic version of yourself and then offer that to the world. You want to call that vocation, you want to call that career success, you want to call that fulfillment. It doesn't matter. But the point is, if you want to feel fulfilled with yourself and your life and feel like you're leaving behind a legacy, or just fulfilled, right? Fulfilled, the cup is full, then you must maximize that possibility, whatever it is. Mm-hmm. If whatever value you're going to add to the world, That's what purpose is. Purpose is an interdependence. The concept of purpose is that there's one thing adding value to another, and it's helping that element achieve some form of outcome. The pen and the paper, the chair and the human, the cup and the liquid. There's this relationship. Humans need that relationship. Otherwise, we're purposeless. We're aimless. Yeah. But everything else that you mentioned, the whole, the passion, the love, the happiness, the ultra success, and all of these.
The money, the consumerism,
Fantastic.
the expectations, the houses.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. And here's the kicker is that in my line of work, when I help people line up who they are with what they do, happiness comes, success comes, and everything else comes with it. It just comes.
Would you say that is what we hear most coaches do nowadays? Can we talk about that?
What's that?
We hear most like there's a lot of I find that there's a lot of coaching out there in brackets, and I've come to have this cynicism coaching, because
just say it. It's a hack. It's a hack. It's a freaking hack, because you can pretty much take a business card and put your name and the word coach, and then go on an Instagram channel and huzzah, you're a coach and you help people reach their potential. And you ask yourself, how do I differentiate the fluff from actual substance?
It's interesting because there's a lot of people that keep on telling me, but Sara, you're a coach, but why don't you tell everybody you're a coach? Why don't you? And I'm like, yeah, no, there's something that just feels wrong about that, even though a lot of people do it. And I completely, I respect that. I'm not wanting to take anything away from that. And a lot of people, it works for them. But I mean, what's your take on this? Because it seems like you are really helping people reintegrate those, not only those values, but those authentic, fulfilling desires of being of service and of getting that satisfaction of having contributed to a world that they live in. Not necessarily my world or your world, but in the world that we each live in. It's a very different world. Every person that we meet encompasses a completely different world. And so where do you think this is going, and what do you think we could do to... Yeah, I'm going to let you go with that, because there's a lot of questions there that
I heard about 7 questions.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm like, oh, that's enough. Let's try that.
Well, I'll start off by saying I think the intention is good behind anyone who says they are a coach or want to be a coach, because a coach is someone who focuses their energy, attention on helping another person achieve their desired outcomes, their goals, period. That's what a coach is. I help you achieve your outcomes, your goals, your objectives. The problem happens is that everyone wants to get in on it, and most people who reach out to me, they're like, where do you start? How do you get into this stuff? And this is where some people might tell me to go F myself, and this is where other people are going to say, you know what, Garen, we're happy that you're an ambassador for this, simply because there's 2 camps, people who take this seriously and people who don't. And the people who take this seriously will actually go into studying this, turning this into their life's work, the science and the art. For instance, there is something called the International Coach Federation. It's like a non-authoritative governing entity over the sacred art and science of coaching. However, unlike the bar, unlike the medical community, unlike the legal community, there's no governing entity, so anyone could be a coach. And so in order to gain credibility, those who take it seriously will go to the certified schools, will get accreditation, and will work towards their higher and higher levels of certification with the International Coach Federation. So for instance, I'm now into year 8 of this. Every year I spend time, money, energy, studies, and research into leveling up my game. So if you look at my site, there's a link that says credentials. I'm extremely proud of that. So whether I'm ICF certified, whether I'm banking my hours, whether I'm logging my hours, whether I'm getting certified with psychometrics, whether I'm studying this stuff, whether I'm curating content, whether I'm curating documents and systems and processes to help my clients reach their potential, that's me being ultra serious about it. To the point where I'll say, when someone comes, I'm not saying I'm going to help you just achieve your potential and align yourself. No, I have actual tools and science behind this stuff, and I'll help you through that. I'll guide you through that, and then I'll coach you through to get the results that you want. So anyone who's ICF certified or anything along those lines are now cheering for this monologue. Some people who aren't, who don't think that coaching needs to be so, serious or dedicated, might not be very happy about what I'm saying. But the truth is, I'm now, with all this work and effort, I'm still not where I want to be in the coaching community. I still have like 800 hours that I have to fill just to get to the minimum requirement of coaching mastery. So it's like a 10-year plan just to get to something that's not even recognized by 99% of organizations and people. So even if I go to a company or someone comes to me and says, coach me, and what makes you a coach? No one cares that I'm ICF certified. No one cares that I'm PCC accredited. No one cares that I'm CPMT with the government of Quebec. No one cares that I'm accredited with the government of Canada. No one cares.
No one understands either the impact.
Except for the coach.
Yeah.
And so how do you differentiate? Ask the coach if they care. Because I'll tell you, I'm going through hell and back to get these certifications, and no one cares, but I'm still doing it. Yep. So this is what I call professional pride. This is about building credibility and substance for a domain and a career path that is tarnished with people with business cards.
Yes. Bravo. Thank you. Thank you for being an inspiration for people like myself, which are, looking into perhaps going into coaching. And I've been, holding myself back for many years, as many of my listeners know, but it seems like I am going to follow your lead.
But for those of you who don't want to go through this hassle, I will gladly give you a 1-hour crash course for $20 and give you a Garen certificate of coaching international, and you can go ahead and print your business cards. But for real, the rest of us, we take this extremely seriously, maybe perhaps too seriously.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. So what is it that you really truly do when we talk about, coaching? Like, a lot of people think, oh, he just sits down and motivates people and talks and that's it. But I know that there's so much more, and the psychology behind it and the studies and the scientific research that has been come from so many different resources. What do you think you truly do, and what would you like to actually do more of?
What do I actually do?
According to you,
I think the master
right?
coach would say, the less you do, the better. There's this. I don't know if it's an analogy or a story or just this joke that says that if you're a coach or even a therapist, the simple act of just sitting there and being there to listen and not even responding is hugely beneficial. They call it the lamppost theory, as in if someone were to be able to walk up to a lamppost and talk to it for an hour every 2 weeks, their life would transform.
Agreed.
So let's start with I'm 1000% present. In that moment, no one on this planet cares more about the person in front of me than me. Start there.
Yes. That holding space, right? That being heard and being seen and being valued as whoever and whatever you are in that moment, so that you can feel comfortable opening up and just being you. Because
go look at my Google reviews. The overarching theme: Garen gives a shit.
Yeah.
So we'll start there. You might throw in the connecting the abstract dots together where the client might not have the perspective or the tools or the self-awareness to see it themselves and just reflect it back to them. And that's where I think the studies come in, understanding individuals, their behaviors, their styles, whether it's DISC personality styles, MBTI, Carl Jung, William Marston, or going into emotional intelligence, or just behavioral psychology, understanding human motivation and all motives, and learning from clients and then reflecting back that experience and knowledge back to future clients. That's what I do. I am a hogger of knowledge, and I hoard it. I have a Google Drive with unlimited data of just random images and files and notes that I've taken, that I just steal it and I hoard it in my brain. So at any point when my client needs it, I say, hey, you know what? Here's an idea. What do you think of this theory? What do you think of this idea? And so I'll reflect that back to them as a tool for reflection, not for prescription. I'm not there to teach. I'm there to bring up something that I found and say, what do you think of that? Let's learn about that together. Is there something you don't know that I know? Is there something that I know that you don't know? Is there something that neither of us know and we're going to find out together? So that's a little bit of the methodology that I use when I present content. All this in service of, I'm a creator of awareness in the moment. It's my job.
I'm sorry
about the
only thing
we
noise
promise. Yeah,
that
it's
we
all
hear.
good. Yeah.
In that same thought pattern, how do you feel like this is helping people not only step up and achieve their potential, but perhaps heal from old pains, aches, traumas, wounds, mindsets, limiting beliefs, all of that?
So how do we help them survive and thrive? If we were to use some cliches, we got to watch out, because on one side we're achieving objectives, on the other side we're healing trauma. Now we're going into psychology realm. So there's a clear distinction between psychotherapy and coaching, and there's this gray zone. And I don't care what anyone says, there's this gray zone. And I'm not saying one's better than the other, but I am saying that I have a slew of clients that have gone through the psychotherapy that didn't work, that ended up coming to coaching and said, this is what I needed all along. However, we also have clients in coaching that are not quite yet ready to get to where they need to be. And we say, you need to come here. And so in general, if you had the rule of thumb, on one side, the client or the individual is not fully well or ready. And the other side, the client is well and ready, just needs that support. On one side might focus on trauma and overcoming trauma. On the other one, it's overcoming perhaps limiting beliefs and internal barriers. On one side might be, yep. Go ahead.
Sorry, please. I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
No, it's okay. I was just saying that one might have a penchant for past the present, and the other one, while might take inventory of the past and present to look at patterns and understanding self, the focus might be a little bit more future based. Yeah.
Love that. Love that. Thank you for that. I think a lot of people mistake the two and want to go to the thriving, but have a hard time letting go of what is constantly being repeated in their minds as a habit that they've picked up, right?
Yeah.
Like anything, we've got muscle memory, whether it's positive or negative, or productive or unproductive, or self-sabotaging. It's muscle memory. So yeah,
beliefs.
I like that. Yeah, exactly. What would you like to do more of with everything that you have, with everything that you know, with all that you've been contributing to people's lives, not only in their work, but in their personal life and in their life at home? Naturally, when we change one aspect of life, any change will have a ripple effect of waves towards everything that surrounds that person in their world. So what would you like to do more of? I know that, let's go there. And I'd like to hear about your new projects coming up eventually through that.
Again, I hear a two-pronged question. On one side, what type of work? On the other side, what does the future look like? I'll combine them both and just say that I think if every coach has in common is I want to help someone else. I feel better about self when I help other, right? And so that driving force of helpfulness, that core value perhaps of being in service of others. At some point, you come to the point where you say, "How can I do more? How can I do more?" It's always about more. I mean, it's the law of motivation: better, more, always. So when someone in my position is thinking of what's next, it's how do I help more? How do I reach more people at the same time so that we can create a larger ripple effect? And so when my career started, it was mostly one-on-one. Now I'm doing one-to-many. So I'm delivering workshops, conferences, and keynotes to anywhere from 8 people to 500. However, it's all or almost always corporate. And so there's only a select group of people that are privy to these types of conversations, these types of workshops, these contents, and this facilitation. So on that note, the question is how do we bring it more to, how do we make it more accessible for everyone?
Yes.
I'm not saying they want this. I'm not even saying they need this. For all I know, they don't even care about this. But for those for the people out there who do, who would like this stuff, but who don't have $1,500, right? I'm thinking, how do we create a space where it's more of a community, where it's a lot more accessible, it's extremely affordable, and it's a place where we can all learn and grow together with facilitation, of course. So some guidance, but a community of learning and growing. And that's kind of where Inspireship is kicking in. So it's this idea I have where Inspireship is like a learning community. It's where we take in all the curated content from the corporate work that we do and take it and bring it to everyone. Because in the corporate world, we're talking about the same thing that everyone's dealing with.
Yeah.
If there's only one quote that I'm actually happy about in that book that I wrote, I said, before work, there's life, and before life, there's nothing. Business is a construct of human mind. We've created this construct of business and corporations and this whole culture. The truth is, when you go into a corporate workshop or a public workshop, and they're just a bunch of humans trying to figure this whole thing out. And that's the idea.
We've become accustomed to close ourselves and imprison ourselves within the limits of what they had done with what they had 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 years ago. And somehow it has not transformed into, well, in many cases, it has not transformed in many of the corporations or businesses into something that's more homogenized in terms of building that communication that was not there in the past, and building a system or processes that were not implemented properly the first time, hence the bad habits and the bad practices.
Yeah, maybe, or simply it was separated work and life, and now work life. I mean, thanks to COVID, now work life is one. Now we're realizing, hey, I'm working out of my bedroom. Oh, I'm human during work hours. Yeah, so it's like what I've been preaching for 20 years is now becoming reality, just thanks to a virus. But now it doesn't solve the problem. We still need to find balance. We still need to find wellness. We still need to find fulfillment. But those topics are all coming to the same form now. Yeah. So what do I want to do more of? I guess more one-to-many, but just expanding the audience from 10,000 to 100,000 to 1,000,000 or whatever that number might be.
And Inspireship is part of that beautiful project that I would love to eventually work on, because it seems so fascinating. So
we're growing.
Pardon me?
We're growing. Yeah,
Yes.
we're a team of 3 right now, but with Sara on board, we're now a team of 4.
Oh, that would be lovely.
There you go. From 4 to 44 to 4,000 and beyond. Absolutely.
Yes, that would be amazing. So how would people get involved with that, and how do you see it go in a year down the line, 4 years down the line, 10 years down the line? What is your idea? What is it that inspires you to build this and grow this? What is it during COVID? I think it comes down to this. What is it during COVID that has shifted so many people's minds, hearts, lives, realities, that we need to work on, and that inspireship could actually help? I have a feeling that there's somewhat of a parallel world there.
I'm wondering if there's an overlap there, but I can tell you what I noticed. So since COVID, March 2020, until last April, we went with the corporate workshops just exploded. So we spent about 13, 14 months, 15 months nonstop. And I mean nonstop, like 2 workshops a day. I had some time off in the summer, and now it's just back with a vengeance. And we're talking about how do we survive and thrive in change, and these are very changing, uncertain, turbulent times. So everyone's kind of reaching out for some stability. So if you're on a boat and the boat rocks, what do? Instinctively, you're going to grab on. And so we're doing a lot of that stuff in organizations and beyond. Having said that, I'll just throw a number out there just to build credibility of what I'm talking about. I probably delivered about 150 3-hour workshops in the last year. If we were to multiply that with an average of, say, 10 to 20 participants, we're talking about exposure to 1,500 to 3,000, or sometimes even 5,000 or 10,000, depending on the size of the room. The reason I give these numbers is not to build credibility, but to at least substantiate what I'm telling you now, which is what I've observed by talking to these thousands of people.
Yeah.
And so when we talk about what's the single greatest impact of COVID on the workplace and on humanity, or at least the working professional, and the number one impact was the loss of the informal interaction.
And that is huge.
Oh, it's massive. It's beyond massive. And my job, I'm realizing, is to keep saying these sentences over and over and over, because now the CEOs are listening and saying, oh shit, those little pieces that we took for granted are actually negatively impacting the numbers in a big way. So my job is to convince the CEOs that the informal interactions, the wellness, the social pieces are directly correlated with the performance and productivity numbers of the organizations. So bringing it to inspireship and the public, these are conversations we need to be having, as in you and I are meeting through Zoom, and this is fantastic. And, it's a good week if I see 5 people face to face. That's a freaking problem. So think of inspireship as a community of like-minded people who all agree that we need this social feel, where they can get together and talk about something that's a little bit more substantial than what's on Netflix. And I don't want to make this into a negative thing about health, but most people who group together have like a common interest in sports or health or athletics or some sport or activity. But how often do people get together because they have a common view of life? Church, cults, anything else? Any positive spaces? I'm not saying cults and churches aren't positive, but perhaps a new, modern, different twist to getting people together and thinking about how we live life.
And not only that, but how we actually impact each other through our conversations. If you go through any conversation and it doesn't change you or add to your life, then that conversation, you did not put enough effort in being present or in being an active listener. Because I think really we can all make that change in every conversation that we have, or not to make it heavy to have it in every conversation, but it is something that we can work towards. And I noticed that through my interactions with my clients, as some people know, I've been a massage therapist for the past 10 years. I hold a lot of space. I give some space before a session, after a session, and that space is so important because that's where people allow themselves to put their guards down and actually just speak what's on their heart and their mind, which is not very often opened. You know, that little Pandora's box that people try to close up with their secrets and their thoughts so safely, so securely, and hold on to it like if it was a treasure. That needs to open up because that's what's going to help help that collective healing that we all talk about and help part of that shock that everybody went through with COVID, I think, right?
Yeah. And if I were to tell you that the antidote was a lot more, I don't know if the word is benign, but the antidote was a lot more harmless of an approach.
More people.
Yeah, it's I know I'm confusing the listeners and you when I say this, so let me put it into context. I'll deliver a workshop. They'll have this snazzy or important title like leading, managing, and thriving in a digital first environment in the 21st century. And everyone shows up and the energy's down, and I'm like, and the first thing I say is, who actually wants to freaking be here? You know, and they're like, oh, I guess I do. And I'm like, you know, you see the CEO sitting there, he's like, everyone better say you want to be here, folks. And then I'll run them into an icebreaker. And, you know, they're like, ensure there's team building and ensure there's motivation. And my icebreaker will be something so stupid, something like, I'll break them up into groups of like 3 and 4. And I'll ask the dumbest of questions, something like, and I'm going to invent one now just to tell you how awesome these things are. So other than temperature, what's really the difference between a substanceless soup and a smoothie? Now, don't answer this. I want you to debate this in your group, right? So we're talking about a soup that doesn't have chunks in it. So like it could be like a lentil soup, a tomato soup, a chicken broth. What's the difference between that and a smoothie? And why is one served in a freaking bowl and why not in a cup? To go further, is it acceptable to serve soup in a cup? Discuss. And what happens is that in these randomized groups, you'll have like VPs talking to like, you know, level 1 employees who have no leadership or authority. And they talk about the dumbest things. And that's exactly what I want them to do, is talk about stuff that voids all titles, status, power, hierarchy, gender, opinions. No, we'll keep the opinions, religion, you know, other things that we identify. And bring it into something stupid. And the reason I'm saying this extremely long-winded story is that when they come back, the energy is incredible. And at the end of the workshop, I'll always say, what's your takeaway and why is it important? And I'm going to say about 90% of the people who give me positive feedback from workshops, they say, Garen, you know, the content was amazing, but you know what the best part was? Talking about the soup. What does that tell you about humans in the workplace? So sometimes it's just about talking about soup, but having a facilitator, a guide, starting that conversation in a safe space that gets you to talk about something other than what's on Netflix, how much money did you make, did we reach our quarterlies, did you pick up the kids from school, and what's for dinner.
Allowed to get out of that typical mindset of, okay, what's next on my list, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and allow that creativity and that flow to just come up with play. And
don't get me wrong, there's a lot of powerful content we deliver after smoothie talk.
Of course,
right?
of course.
My
But
team and I spend hours and years curating content for teaching, but the point is that, yeah.
I think that having that icebreaker actually allows people to get out of themselves and out of their heads. And that's what's important when you're actually delivering information and content that will help a group of CEOs learn how their management or lower management work, or how their employees work, because after all, we're only all humans, right? Yeah.
You also mentioned something about, we're keeping things safe and locked away and we need to open up. That is the biggest theme right now in organizations. I think in every speech, I must probably have a 5-minute part about psychological safety and how it directly impacts organizational performance.
Absolutely.
Isn't that exactly what you were talking about there?
Yeah, absolutely.
Feeling safe to not be judged, to express myself, but not only to feeling safe of non-judgment to express, but also there is a responsibility that not just everyone feels safe, but everyone gets a chance to talk. Because just because you feel safe doesn't mean you actually do speak. So you got to make sure that the mic comes around.
Very true. Very true.
And you need some form of, I don't know if it's inertia or someone launching the momentum to say, okay, pass the mic over. And this needs to be happening in workshops, not in workshops, in boardrooms, in meetings, but in societies as well, in families and friends.
In everyday. Yeah, absolutely. Yep. Absolutely. Would you say that kindness and empathetic active listening have anything to do with any of this?
Yeah.
I know this is kind of like a rhetorical question, obviously, but I want your take on that, because I know Mel Robbins, I know Katie Byron, I know many other practitioners and professionals that actually talk about vulnerability, kindness, empathetic, active listening, non-aggressive communication, non-verbal communication, which is huge, in that we've lost some of that through the masks, through the lack of meeting people, through the fear of connecting, handshakes and whatnot, which actually convey a lot of information. So what aspects do you think are really important to not forget, for you, for me, for friends, for colleagues, for family, for work, for a better fulfilled fulfilling conversation and growth and exchange in every aspect?
There's two pieces in there. One side is the role we're playing in these interactions. The other one, you were talking about the nonverbal. It feels like the virtual workplace makes it very easy for us to disconnect and stay disconnected. And I think the scary part is where we find comfort in that disconnection. And it's a case of what I want versus what I need. And the symptoms we're seeing in society with people who are just locked away in their rooms working from there. And I'll even notice organization-wide culture where I'll be delivering a workshop and out of 30, 40, 50 people, 3 turn on their cameras. Then I'll work with another organization, everyone turns on their cameras. How are we supposed to connect when you can't even see each other? What a shame. And why do we feel so safe in that disconnection? And what's the default outcome? As in, what's the cost of staying that way long term? What does that do to your psyche? Yeah. When you talk about active listening and empathy and all that stuff, yeah, I mean, maybe a different conversation on that one.
That was
Active
a big
listening,
one, I know.
When we talk about active listening, empathy, and yada yada, we're talking about the tools we need to increase and maximize the effectiveness of communication. And when I say the word communication, we have to understand that the word communication, like the other big words we brought up earlier, is often misinterpreted. Garen's a great communicator. No, Garen might be an eloquent speaker.
Mm-hmm.
There's a difference. Communication would be perhaps better defined as if we were to replace the word communication and replace it with the word understanding, would be a little bit more accurate. And so effective communication is the listener and the speaker truly understanding each other. And so the message that's being delivered is being received and interpreted almost exactly the way it was being sent. And you notice I use the word almost. Mm-hmm. We must perhaps adopt and accept the truth that no two humans are alike. And because of nurture and nature, no two humans will truly ever achieve 100% understanding. But we must strive towards maximizing that number. So ultimate effective communication, 100%-ish understanding of each other. So why is active listening important? Why is empathy important? Why is reflecting questions important? Why is asking questions important? Why is not imposing opinions, advice, or making it unsafe important? Because we're looking for authentic communication and authentic understanding, right? Deep understanding. And empathy allows us to do that.
Do you think that with everything that's going on in the world right now, everybody is on a empathetic overload and information overstimulation to the point that
overload, as in it's becoming hot topic?
Not only that it's becoming hot topic, but there are so many things that come and break our hearts. Everything that happened last year, all the riots all around the world, whether it's from the environmental disasters to, the killings and the fights and the wars and the, taking over and all the politics and all of that. How are we to manage all of that, worry about all of that, or be conscious about all of that without burning ourselves out? Because I see that a lot today. And a lot of people go, oh, but there's this, oh, but there's that. And they get so passionate and so riled up and worked up. And then there's no more energy to actually do anything about it. But there's a lot of talk. And they end up saying, oh, but I don't know, I'm so depressed, the world is shit, and where am I going?
Yeah, you bring up a good point, but let's just focus on the important piece you brought up, is that empathy might equal suffering. So why isn't every psychotherapist on suicide watch? Why isn't every coach on suicide watch? Yeah. So you need to separate empathy and emotional attachment. I could be empathetic.
Yes.
But detach emotionally from the pain that you're suffering, which allows me to be effective in my job. If I emotionally attach myself, I'm no longer effective as a coach. I'm now suffering with you.
Yeah. It's kind of like the doctors that are not supposed to treat their own family, right?
I can't coach family members.
No, absolutely not.
It's impossible. You have too much stake in the outcome. So empathy overload, I don't think it's empathy overload. I think it's emotional attachment overload.
I like
the ability to let go. Yeah.
That is.
What's it like to be you without having to actually feel your pain, but to see the world through your eyes and to help guide you out of the woods? Simply because I'm not suffering, I can then help you get out. Yeah.
I know we're coming to time, and you've been so generous
Sure.
with your time. Thank you so much. I would keep on talking and probably, hopefully, have you another time for another session.
Anytime.
Thank you. But if there was something that you would recommend, or what would you like to tell people out there that are listening to us and that are saying, well, what do I need to do to work harder and be happy? You know, happy people work hard.
Happy
Or
people work
what do
harder.
I
Yeah.
need to do to find my path? There seems to be a lot of people that are either depressed, burnt out, overworked, tired, fatigued, very overly ambitious, and then get lost in all the projects that they have. I consider myself part of that. What would you say what would you say would help us find our center and our grounding so that we can learn to thrive instead of survive in a world where everything seems so temporary?
I'm hearing again two pieces in this one. The first one is, how do I align myself with my path, quote unquote. The other one is, how do I find balance? Which of the two would you like to tackle?
Which of the two do you think that, according to all the people that you've met, would need to be tackled as a question? I think you have more feedback on that, according to your.
I'll tell you this. I think everyone needs both, and just because you find your path doesn't mean you find balance. If anything, it ruins your balance. When who you are and what you do are aligned, your life and your work become one. Theoretically and practically, your path or what you do would be defined by two factors. One, what are you great at? And two, what lights you up? And so if we're to just take those and bunch them into the words of, powers and passions, which is what I wrote in the book, or, strengths, abilities, natural capabilities, and be anything that sparks you emotionally, anything that gets you going. We can simplify it by saying, if you're great at what you do, but you don't enjoy it, that's called a job and it feels tedious. Ugh. If you love what you do, but you're not good at it, it's called a hobby and you find them at the karaoke bars. Your passion outweighs your talents. You love it, but you're just not good enough to earn a steady income with it. If you can find both, now you're doing something that allows you to achieve success and satisfaction. And the V that you'll see in the book is values. The values tell you not what you're going to do, but how you're going to express that profession. And so my strengths and my passions might tell me that I'm a coach. My values tell me who I work with, what causes I work towards, what ecosystem I'm in, what kind of lifestyle I want to be living, which core values will drive my behaviors as a coach, right? So alignment coming there. However, when you figure out who you are, and aka what you do, and that becomes one, that vocation, that calling becomes this purpose. And you find yourself working day and night and weekends. And it's almost, from the outside, it looks almost obsessive. And to demonstrate this, you might have your strengths and passions that might be two different things that you merge together and it becomes something. But sometimes, if you look at any human that's achieved any greatness, you can find something in common. And this is something I noticed, is that if you were to create a list of everything you're good at and make a list of everything that lights you up, if you find a word that finds it, that lands in both columns, one word that stands out in both, I call that like like you're in the zone. That's like the ultimate sweet spot. And I want you to think about anyone who's done any greatness since the dawn of humanity. You'll see that there's a word that kind of stands out for both. For instance, Michael Jordan, good at basketball or loves basketball?
Loves basketball.
Not good?
He's great at basketball.
Exactly. In fact,
he's
stellar. His level of passion and capabilities are through the roof, which made him one of the greatest of all time. Mm-hmm. However, look perhaps to certain athletes that might have incredible talent, but are lacking a little bit on that passion. What happens? They're good, but they're not great. They might even fizzle out. In hockey, there's Alexandre Daigle. He made it to the NHL. He was one of the top prospects. A few years later, he just skipped out on the league and went to Hollywood. You could be great, but if it doesn't light you up, you won't achieve anything. Bill Gates, good at computers, loves it. Both. Steve Jobs, same thing. Think about Gandhi and think about the two words that stand out for Gandhi. Think about Barack Obama. And which word would fall into both of those columns? So when those two are supercharged, that's when you can achieve greatness. However, at the peril of balance. If you look at all of these people that achieve greatness, they have no balance. What they do and who they are become one, and it becomes extremely difficult to separate work and life. So it's the paradox. If I were to find my calling, how do I find balance? How do I separate work and life? Mm-hmm. And do I want to?
Which I think a lot of people mistaken for, oh, well, if I work hard enough and if I work long enough and if I get those extra hours and maybe I'll become successful, yet not realizing if it's not feeding them in some way, then it's not going to get them where they want to go, really. Because
exactly.
Yeah, ultimately it's not there. Right.
So maybe we can end this talk with
There's
a question.
So much I would keep on going on
with the question.
But
it's a question that comes up. I brought it in the TED Talk and I brought it in the book, and it's probably the most important question because you mentioned, if I do this, then I might. And the question actually is, what do you actually want? What do you really want? Because then you can start defining your success, and perhaps what you're doing is not exactly what's going to get you where you want to be. And that's a big part of what we do as coaches, is help clarify and redefine what people actually want.
And their perceptions of what they actually have or not.
Yeah, absolutely. And, next topic might go into hedonic adaptation and how that's causing everything that's wrong with the world today, and why more is always more and more and more. And people don't seem to understand that more eventually leads you off the edge of the cliff. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but that would go to another day.
Just to finish up, obviously we could find you on Instagram. Garen Jemian,
yeah, something like that.
And your website,
www.GarenJemian.com.
Jemian.com. And is there anything for Inspireship?
Inspireship right now is the brand I'm using for my public speaking. You can find it on my website under team performance or just workshops and training. So that's it's going to be like the little cocooning phase as I grow that out into something bigger and better. So for now, it's just the branding I'm using for all my public speaking arrangements. But as we expand and go more perhaps towards the public, it'll have its own private little home.
I love that. And your wonderful book, Happy People Work Harder. Where can we find that? On Amazon?
Yeah, if you just go on my website, you can find a link at the bottom of the page, or just amazon.com or .ca. You just type in the words and you'll find it right there.
Wonderful, thank you. Yeah. And what is one thing that I don't know that I should know that you would like to finish off on? I love that.
What don't you know that you should know?
Yeah. What is it that I don't know that everybody would want to know? about you, about coaching, about life, about finding balance, about grounding, about healing, about motivation, about any of the above,
Uh,
anything, the first
uh,
thing that comes to your mind.
the first thing that comes to my mind is that the more I know, the more I realize I know absolutely nothing, um, and which is a strange feeling. As I gather intelligence and experience, I also relinquish attachment to knowledge. So maybe what I'd like to say is that oftentimes what we're looking for is right here in front of our noses, but if you'll notice, your eyes can't see in front of your nose.
Totally agree.
Yeah, and which brings me perhaps to the most unfortunate truth, um, that oftentimes it's not about learning something new; it's about being aware of something you already knew but forgot.
And perhaps unlearning some of the things that we've learned along the way as
Mhm.
crutches. That
I wouldn't argue that point. Yeah.
yeah, unlearning a lot of those crutches that we've been accustomed to hold
Yeah.
on to.
Yeah, I'll leave
Yeah.
that up to peyote to sort out for people, though. It's a lot faster.
Garen, every time we have conversations, it's always so rich in insight and golden nuggets. And I really appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule to meet and do this. And I hope that all the listeners take the time to listen up to the end, because I find that there's always so much to unravel in our conversations, and I really appreciate it. Looking forward to our next meeting once again. I will put all the information to get in touch and get in more um, from you, including the Instagram and
Mm.
the website and all on the show notes. And is there anything else that I missed or that you would like to say before we
No,
go
and I'm
on?
terrible at self promotion. I'll be honest. So, um, just if you're listening, I hope this was helpful. I really hope that it was helpful. I hope that you felt that we were being honest and authentic. I hope that this resonated with you. And if you need any type of help or guidance or whatever it is, or if you have any questions, just feel free to reach out. We do not bite.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Garen. Wherever you are, dear listener, whether you're at home, in the car, driving, biking, morning, afternoon, evening, I wish you a wonderful, wonderful morning, day, or night, and many blessings for the rest of your week.